Hello to my beautiful mums and welcome to the Real Mummy podcast. I'm your host, Lucy Dalton, a registered nurse and proud mum of two gorgeous, busy and inquisitive little girls. I'm thrilled to have you here today, whether you're an expectant mum, a new mum or a seasoned mum with a house full of teens. This podcast is your go-to sanctuary for feeling understood. We're here to dive deep into the raw, unfiltered tales of motherhood. Today, as we kickstart this journey together, I want to lay down the foundation of what this podcast is truly about: honesty, solidarity, education, and a good dose of humour. Motherhood is the most beautifully chaotic journey we'll ever embark on. It's like a roller coaster, wild, thrilling, with moments that can take your breath away, and other times you can't wait for it to end. And today, I'll share my story, my motivations, and what led me to create a safe haven for all mums. So let's start from the beginning. I became a mum for the first time 5 years ago, and like many of you, I was utterly unprepared for the profound changes that would follow. I thought I had it all figured out. I had read the books, taken the classes, and felt prepared. But the reality of sleepless nights, breastfeeding struggles, and the sheer exhaustion hit me hard. Holding my eldest daughter in my arms for the very first time was the most surreal and transformative moment of my life. Right there and then, everything changed. My identity, my priorities, my entire world shifted in a way I had never anticipated. I'd always wanted to become a mum since I was 16, but nothing could have prepared me for the roller coaster that was to come. I remember those early days so vividly: the sleepless nights, the cracked nipples from breastfeeding, the tears from both my baby and me. I remember feeling an immense love that I had never felt before, yet simultaneously feeling overwhelmed and terrified. My husband works FIFO, so he was away for 8 days at a time. He supported me as best he could through the video calls, but the physical absence was tough. Figuring out how to be a mum, managing the household, and using every ounce of my being to keep a tiny human alive and well. It's a lonely, exhausting, and often thankless job, but one that is filled with moments of pure, unadulterated joy. Which brings me to why this podcast was born. A few years ago, I joined a local mums group run by the child health nurse. There I met other mums who were just as sleep deprived, confused, and overwhelmed as I was. We shared stories, our struggles, and in those moments, I felt a profound sense of relief. Oh my God, I thought, I'm not the only one who finds this hard. Suddenly, my world did not feel as isolated. There were others out there who understood exactly what I was going through. I remember one particular night when my youngest was about 2 months old. She'd been crying for what seemed like hours. I was exhausted, sitting in her dark room, my eyes stinging with exhaustion and tears. I felt so alone. That's when my phone buzzed with a message from my friend, and all it said was, "I'm here, you're doing great." And those few words were like a lifeline to me. It's these small acts of kindness and understanding that make all the difference. And that's what I want this podcast to be for all of you. You see, the beauty of sharing real, authentic stories is that it lifts the veil of perfection that social media often perpetuates. It was in these raw, honest conversations that I found solace, encouragement, and validation. And that is precisely what I want to bring to you through the Real Mummy podcast. We'll be covering every topic, no matter how raw or uncomfortable, because no aspect of motherhood should be shrouded in shame or secrecy. From birth to trauma to juggling solo parenting, from the relentless mum guilt to tackling social pressures, we'll laugh, talk about the absurdities of motherhood, and share tears over the heartbreaking struggles. So let's address the elephant in the room: social media. As mums, we are bombarded with images of perfect families, immaculate homes, and kids who always seem to be perfectly well behaved. Comparison is the thief of joy, they say, and they're right. I remember scrolling through Instagram and seeing mums with spotless kitchens, gourmet meals, and kids in matching outfits who seemed to have life all figured out. Meanwhile, I was struggling to get dinner on the table and had a mountain of laundry that seemed to be growing by the second. It's exhausting feeling like you're constantly falling short. So let me tell you a little secret though. Those pictures, those snapshots, they're just that. They're snapshots. They don't tell the whole story. The mum with the pristine kitchen, she might have a pile of laundry in another room, just like the rest of us. The mum who made that perfect meal from scratch might have had the kids occupied with TV for hours. We see these images and we feel inadequate, but the truth is, none of us have it all together all the time, and that's okay. In this podcast, we're going to strip away the filters and share the real stories, the messy, hilarious, tear-jerking, and above it all, beautifully human stories. This is a safe space for all mums, regardless of how you choose to parent. Whether you're a stay-at-home mum, a working mum, a breastfeeding mum, a bottle-feeding mum, there is no judgment here. Every path in motherhood is valid and every experience is worth sharing. That brings me to an important point. Not everyone will agree with the ideas and opinions shared in every episode. And that's okay too. Just like our children, all unique, our motherhood journeys are all unique. What works for one mum may not work for another. And that's the beauty of it. The Real Mummy podcast is about exploring the full spectrum of motherhood experiences and recognizing that there is no one-size-fits-all approach. There will be episodes that resonate deeply with you and others that might not. Our goal is to offer a diverse range of perspectives and advice so you can take what works for you and leave the rest. Now let's talk about mum guilt. The ever-present, pervasive mum guilt. It doesn't matter what decisions you make, it seems there's always something to feel guilty about. Going back to work, staying at home, using disposable nappies, choosing to breastfeed or not, and then the unsolicited advice from every corner doesn't help. Your baby should be doing this by now, or have you tried doing it this way? It can make you second-guess everything, leading to even more guilt and anxiety. But here's the thing, no one size fits all in motherhood. Every baby is different. Every mum is different, and that's okay. I remember feeling this immense guilt for not being the perfect mum I thought I would be. I felt I just had to justify every decision, explain why my baby wasn't sleeping through the night when others were. But the more I talked to other mums, the more I realized that we're all just doing our best. And that's enough. One episode I'm particularly excited about is a deep dive into mum guilt with a close friend and fellow mum of two. It's that ever-looming shadow that follows us around everywhere, whether it's feeling guilty for going back to work or taking some me time, or simply just losing our patience. It's a relentless companion. Because here's the truth, you're doing your best and that's more than enough. We'll explore some practical ways to alleviate our guilt, reframe our thinking, and give ourselves the grace we are so freely offer others. Because at the end of the day, a happy mum makes for a happy child. And let's not forget the importance of humour. Motherhood is full of those laugh or cry moments, and sometimes a good laugh is just what we need. I'll never forget the time when my youngest decided to change the colour of the couch with her pens, or the day my eldest dressed as Supergirl and insisted she was saving the world one biscuit at a time. Those moments, as chaotic as they are the small joys we'll cherish forever. We'll share these funny stories, and I'll invite mums from all walks of life to join me in laughing at the absurdities of motherhood, because sometimes laughter is the best medicine. We'll also have expert guests, midwives, nurses, physiotherapists, and more, offering invaluable insights and practical tips on everything from breastfeeding, sleep assistance, dealing with big emotions, to finding that elusive work-life balance. These experts, many of whom are mums themselves, understand the real struggles we face and will provide wisdom born of both professional knowledge and personal experience. You'll hear from physiotherapists about how to handle postpartum recovery and manage the aches and pains of carrying little ones. We'll talk to sleep consultants about those sleepless nights that never seem to end and how to gently coax our little ones into more restful patterns. We'll bring in breastfeeding counsellors to discuss the nitty-gritty of feeding, the challenges and the victories. But remember, not every piece of advice will work for every mum, and that's perfectly fine. The goal is to provide you with a toolbox of strategies and insights so you can find what resonates with your unique circumstances. But most importantly, I want this podcast to be interactive. I want to hear from you. What are your struggles, your triumphs, your questions? Follow us on social media, share your stories, and let's build a community where every mum feels heard and valued. I'll regularly be posting sneak peeks of upcoming episodes and asking for your input on topics you want to hear about. You see, it's not just about surviving motherhood, it's about thriving. It's about finding those moments of joy amid the chaos and knowing that you're part of a bigger supportive community. I remember the nights up at 3 a.m. messaging a friend who had been through it all. Her words of encouragement kept me strong. My first daughter was what you would call a difficult baby. She had trouble feeding, hated napping or sleeping unless she was attached to me, and she cried constantly. I remember pacing the floors night after night, feeling utterly helpless and exhausted. One particular night, after hours of trying to soothe her, I broke down in tears. I felt like a failure. Why couldn't I make my baby happy? Was I doing something wrong? It was in that dark moment that I reached out to a friend who just had a second baby. She lived across town, but I felt like she was right there with me. She reminded me to take a breath, and it wasn't my fault, and that this phase would pass. And her words were a lifeline. That's the power of community, the power of shared experiences. When we open our hearts and share our struggles, we not only find comfort for ourselves, but offer hope to others. And that's exactly the kind of supportive community I want to foster with the Real Mummy podcast. As we dive deep into these topics, remember there's no right or wrong way to be a mum. It's about finding what works for you and your family. Sometimes it's just about making it through the day, and other times it's about celebrating those small wins. Speaking of small wins, let's not underestimate the power of community and support. I vividly remember these long, isolating days when I felt like I was the only one struggling. It took reaching out and finding a community of mothers to realize I wasn't alone. That's what this podcast exists, to be a support system for you, to share the good, the bad, and everything in between. On those tough days, remember it takes a village. Virtual or in person, find your village, reach out, connect, share. There's real strength in vulnerability. That's where the true connection happens. And let's be real, sometimes we just need a good cry, and that's okay. If you've had a rough day and need to lock yourself in the bathroom for 5 minutes just to breathe, do it. There is no judgment here. We've all been there. And sometimes self-care is as simple as taking those moments for yourself. In addition to the podcast, keep a lookout for our blog articles and social media posts. We'll share even more insights and stories. I want this to be an interactive space. Your feedback, your questions, and your own stories will shape the episodes to come. So your participation is invaluable. Let's talk about the societal pressures and judgments that add unnecessary stress to our lives. The mummy wars, if you will, the unnecessary comparisons, the labels, the crunchy mum, the almond mum, the helicopter mum, the list goes on. I've often found myself caught in these traps, feeling like I had to fit a certain mold, but I've come to realize that there's no right way to be a mum. There are as many styles of motherhood as there are mothers, and that's something to be celebrated, not criticized. For instance, you'll hear stories from working mums who expertly juggle career and family, managing to excel at both. And you'll hear from stay-at-home mums who find immense fulfillment in being fully present with their kids, foregoing their professional ambitions. Neither choice is right or wrong. They're simply different paths leading to the same goal, raising happy, healthy children. I want to share a story that profoundly impacted me and fundamentally changed the way I view motherhood. It was about 3 years ago during one of those manic days when everything seemed to go wrong. I finally managed to get both the girls down for a nap, and I collapsed on the couch in exhausted relief. My phone pinged with a message, and it was from a mum I'd met at one of our toddler activities. She had just had a second baby and was struggling with postpartum depression. She felt like a terrible mum, convinced she was failing her children. I called her immediately, and we spent the next hour talking, crying, and ultimately laughing. She poured out her heart, sharing her deepest fears and insecurities, and I listened, sharing my own struggles and reassuring her that she was doing an amazing job. By the end of our conversation, she sounded so much lighter, and so did I. It was a reminder that we all have those dark moments, but by sharing them, we can bring a little light into each other's lives. That's what I want the Real Mummy podcast to be, a source of light, hope, and understanding. A place where we can share our darkest fears and greatest triumphs, where we're reminded that it's okay not to have it together all the time. Beyond just sharing stories, the Real Mummy podcast is about education and empowerment. We'll have professionals join us to offer practical advice on various aspects of parenting, from breastfeeding counsellors who can help with those latch issues, to sleep consultants who can offer strategies for those sleepless nights, to female personal trainers who will be able to help you get back moving your body safely after having kids. One episode I'm particularly excited about is with a beautiful work friend who will be sharing her heartwarming adoption journey, which will be sure to make you tear up. Then we'll have an episode focused on traveling with kids. Sounds daunting, right? But trust me, it's doable. I'll share my experiences of traveling with my girls. I will have a travel expert who's also a mum give us her best tips and tricks to make the journey smoother. Spoiler alert, snacks and flexible schedules are your best friends. Another episode that's close to my heart is with a midwife who shares her career journey on one of her favourite types of births, water births. We'll also explore the importance of self-care, something that often falls by the wayside in the chaos of motherhood. I know it sounds impossible some days, but taking care of yourself is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Whether it's a warm bath, a short walk, or just 5 minutes of quiet with a cup of tea, seize those moments. We'll have an episode where we discuss practical self-care strategies that fit into your busy schedules. We'll talk to wellness experts who can offer simple practical tips for incorporating self-care into our daily lives. Because let's face it, you can't pour from an empty cup, mums. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. As we wrap up this introductory episode, I want to leave you with this thought. Motherhood is a journey filled with highs and lows, triumphs and challenges, laughter and tears. It's a journey that can feel incredibly isolating at times, but you are never alone. Here at the Real Mummy podcast, we are building a community of mums who lift each other up, who share their stories with honesty and vulnerability, and who offer support and encouragement every step of the way. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for being a part of this wonderful community. I'm so excited to share these stories, insights, and laughs with you. So hit subscribe to join us for real, raw, and inspiring content every week. Remember, Mum, you are doing an amazing job, and you are not alone. I'm Lucy Dalton, and until next time, be kind to yourself. You've got this. Stay strong, mummies, and see you in the next episode of the Real Mummy podcast.